It's This Week in Bourbon, and Scotty still doesn't know. Here's your headlines for March 14th, 2025. And I still can't believe we're also talking about tariffs, but there's more news about that. The University of Kentucky also has a new Estate Whiskey Alliance, and Chattanooga Whiskey releases a new single batch series called Prohibition Style. And before we get started, here's a quick word from our partners. Hey everybody, welcome back. It is This Week in Bourbon. And Ryan, do you know?
Scotty doesn't know.
Scotty doesn't know.
What was that on? That was on what movie? Not another teen movie or something?
Eurotrip.
Okay.
And it is making a comeback hard because everybody's doing covers of it and all this other kind of stuff. And I was and so the most popular video that I saw was because somebody said these young kids don't even know where this song's come from. And so they pulled up a video of Eurotrip of what's the actor? Ben Affleck's sidekick.
Matt Damon?
Yes, Matt Damon. It was Matt Damon that actually did the singing in it.
Yeah.
Remember it?
Oh, yeah. Dude, that's a great movie. I haven't seen that in like 12 years, probably.
Should I play a clip?
Most people probably don't. Well, go ahead.
It's like, you gotta know this, right? Listen, that Fiona and me. I mean...
He's just devastated.
Yeah, he's just devastated. Sitting there just watching that. It happened.
Matt Damon looks good with the shaved head.
He doesn't know.
So it's making a comeback on TikTok.
It is, man. Everybody's doing covers of it, and everything like that too. So it's good to be able to see the night. Wait, that had been early 2000s Eurotrip.
Yeah, it's like probably like it's like our parents being like, oh, you had to see this movie, Blues Brothers or something. You know, like,
the Blues Brothers.
It was hilarious.
I know. I remember the same exact thing because my dad was like, you got to watch Animal House.
Or Animal House.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I watched Animal House. I was like, oh, okay, Animal House is pretty rad. Yeah. I can get that.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go ahead and let's talk about a few things. Thank you for the huge outreach that we've had for people, for ambassadors. We've had new people from Texas, Memphis, and Toledo, and all these other kind of folks. So we've only nailed down a few different positions, Knoxville so far, and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, love to see the building happening. I'm not trying to bring out a huge army of people, but we're just still looking for just a few individuals because we still have to make money at the end of the day, and we keep paying more people than we're making. It feels like sometimes.
The ambassador is definitely winning in this
in this scenario
collectively, but
yeah.
But we're very grateful for them, and we wouldn't be where we are without them. So they're a huge part, very important part of our business.
Yes, very much so. Let's see. This past week as well, I created the email that went out for the first round of P Club. So if anybody that wants to go and get your hands on what's being bottled as we speak, we've got Melwood yesterday, Old Anvil, and Derbytown. If you don't know what those are, don't worry. Press release. More news will be coming out with that. And then if you want to know more about that, go subscribe to our other podcast called Behind the Pursuit, where we talk about all these fun things that we are building as a part of Pursuit Spirits.
Yeah,
and then
exciting.
People already dropping teaser pictures inside a parlor too. I saw that
in the bottling line.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, they're trying
inside info.
Yeah, and it was like, well, whatever.
Yeah, Melwood turned out awesome. When we got those barrels, they were like 131 proof, and I was like,
this is gonna suck the proof.
People like cask strength bourbon. Like they were just, they were flavorful, but they were so hot, spicy. But then, as we slowly proofed them down, they just kept getting better and better. And at 100, it's just this beautiful, elegant, fruity, decadent whiskey at 100 proof. It's like you don't have to have cask strength to have good flavor.
I think we made a really good choice with it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. Let's see. Do we have any other upcoming events or things that we want to talk about? We got 5 Iron Golf. You want to plug that?
5 Iron next Thursday, March 20th. So, yeah, we're doing a kind of, I guess, what do you call it? I guess a guided tasting, kind of our story of all of our products. We'll have double oak bourbon, double oak rye, and our triple mash bourbon, triple mash rye. At 5 Iron will also be March Madness. It's a great spot to watch games. So come hear me. I'll try to get it in between important games, and I'll keep it minimal and make it all about the whiskey so that
nobody's paying attention to you when there's a 3-second buzzer beater about to happen.
No doubt. But 5 Irons is a really cool spot. It's an indoor golf facility where you have bays and you can play like don't play Pebble Beach. I tried to, and I shot like 130.
Shaking it to the left and right every time.
Oh, it's so bad. But yeah, it's a really cool spot here in New Lou. So it's Thursday, March 20th from 6 to 8. I'll be there. So, and Kenny, you're coming too. Right?
I'll be there. You know, honestly, me and you, we've never actually gone golfing together.
We haven't, have we?
We never have. So this might be an opportunity. At least we can see who can drive further.
Digitally.
I guarantee you, I'm not a long drive.
I'm not either.
I like to have a controlled drive. I'm gonna go 20 to 30 yards shorter than everybody else, but at least I can get it somewhat in the fairway.
Yep, in as a win.
60% of the time.
60% of the time. Yeah, a massive drive for me is like 260. So that's like a big drive for me.
Oh, see, I don't even pay attention to the actual yardage. I'm just like, oh, cool. Like we might get bogey this hole. Like that's a good hole for me.
Yeah, we'll play pebbles, see if you can get bogeys. I didn't get many of them.
I'm okay. Listen, I'm here for the public courses, and
we'll load up your core on there.
I mean, whatever is funded by the city and only cost me $25 to do, I'm all about that. I can spend a few hours doing that.
Totally, but. Once again, Thursday, March 20th, 6 to 8. See you there.
Yes. We got to get better about looking at events that we have going on and announcing it so people know what's happening. And thank you everybody that came. We're recording tonight, but last night to our blind bourbon whiskey tasting pairing thing at Watch Hill. So
I was 5 for 5.
Yes.
I guessed all of them right.
Okay. All right. Somebody fact check us on that.
Yeah.
All right. Other announcement is that if you plan on coming to Bourbon on the Banks, it's in Frankfort, Kentucky. It's one of the other premier festivals that happens here in the city, or should I say in the state. Those tickets will be going on sale March 17th. I was informed to make sure that you know about that because they will sell out quick.
Yeah. Bourbon on the Banks has become one of the best bourbon festivals in the, in the city, or not in the city, the state.
I said the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Let's say the metropolis.
The metropolis of Kentucky. You got that and Bourbon Festival are two great, and they're, about 3 to 4 weeks apart?
Yes, they are. It's in October.
Yeah, October. So, yeah, it's a great time. So hope to see you there.
Yes. Well, let's talk about some of the news. I don't want to keep bringing this up. I really don't, but it keeps going back and forth. I have to because it affects everything that we do, and that is more tariff talk. Now, the U.S. tariffs to Mexico and Canada have been pushed back to April 2nd, which for us, if you've been listening, home run, right? Ryan's making a field goal pose. Hopefully now we can get our glass out of Mexico before that deadline, and we can save ourselves 25%. So at least our first run of glass will be okay with. And then everybody else, sorry, you got to cough up more money for the next round because it's going to cost more. I'm just kidding. We're going to try to eat the cost as much as possible.
Yeah, I'm convinced at this point that I think I was texting you privately about this, but it's like I think Trudeau, and I don't know the Mexican president, sorry, and Trump are just like, let's just get together and we're going to drive down the stock market
and so
about once a month, and then hedge funds can buy it. Like, because I mean, you look at it, it's like they announce the tariffs, tanks, then they're like, oh, they're extended, shoots back up, and it's like we're all just pawns in this game. So just that I'm over it. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
I know. I saw something that, because Musk is a very poignant person in the political spectrum today. I don't know why, but he lost like $16 billion the past week. So, and people were happy for it. Whatever. But then you saw Trump also got a new Tesla this week. So I guess the White House is now sponsoring Tesla. I don't know how it works. But on more things with the tariffs is that the EU is now planning to move forward with a 50% tariff on American whiskey starting April 1st. And that is targeting other targets other spirits such as gin. So this is in retaliation to Trump's move as he brings back tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. He had previously imposed a 25% and 10% on European steel and aluminum during his first term back in 2018. And this latest move has increased the aluminum tariff to 25%, which sparked an immediate response and announced that is going to impose counter tariffs on billions of dollars worth of U.S. goods such as bourbon, boats, and motorbikes.
Well,
hopefully there's a much larger picture we don't see.
Well, hopefully they keep punting it every month for,
it's
for the next 4 years.
Keeps making news, right? All right. So buy the dip is what you're trying to say, right?
Exactly. Buy the dip.
Buy the dip.
Yep.
I mean, it has been going up and down. Thinking of dip, I mean, crypto's even been going up and down recently. Been looking at my Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's wild swings, like down 12%, up 8%. You're kind of like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
Now I wish I had the discretionary income to just be like, oh, sure, buy, figure it out later.
No doubt.
I fall into that camp that everybody else does of let's buy high and sell low.
Yep. Or just sit and forget it and not go through those gyrations.
Yeah.
And it tends to work out.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and let's talk about some other kind of more fun bourbon news. Is that there is a new documentary that's going to be coming together where it's going to bring Kentucky bourbon for an intimate hour-long conversation that uncovers unique and unexpected insights into America's only native spirit. And this is being co-produced by Focal Films and Distilled Living. Shout out to Tim Niddle. And it was filmed at the historic Oxmoor Farm in Louisville, Kentucky. And so we had a pleasure of being there a couple weeks ago. We'll talk about it. But this is now going to enter post-production with an anticipated release sometime in spring of 2025 on a streaming platform. This is the first of still an untitled documentary where it's going to be talking about Oxmoor Farm as the home of Kentucky straight bourbon and the legal work done by the 5 generations who called it their home and defined and defended the identity of bourbon through law and regulation.
We get to learn all about each 5 generations.
We did.
It was interesting.
A little somber at first.
It was somber at first, but it picked up some momentum as we got closer to more modern times. And it's a fascinating story. And those folks there at Oxmoor, the Bullitt family, they have a ton of involvement in the success of bourbon today. So it's a really fascinating story if you're into history and how things worked out, politically and, in the region and with bourbon. It's a really fascinating story.
Yes. And it had a nice little tie into Melwood.
It did. Yes. Yeah.
We discovered that too. The president of Melwood was actually working with Colonel E.H. Taylor and the Bullitt family to help with the Bottled and Bond Act. So how crazy that worked out.
Yep. Glad we found those labels.
We're first to market.
That's right.
All right. So the other one, we'll talk about this. It's kind of different. The University of Kentucky has an estate whiskey alliance. I didn't know about that, but they're also launching the first of its kind program that authenticates estate whiskeys with a globally recognized certification of mark to be used on qualifying whiskey product labels, and it's called Estate Whiskey Certified, uppercase TM for trademark. Estate whiskey refers to a type of whiskey that is produced entirely on the distillery estate using grains sourced from the estate or local to the site. All production processes include milling, cooking, fermentation, distilling, barreling, aging, and bottling that all occur on the distillery estate. And at least 2/3 of all mash bill grains are grown on estate-owned or controlled land. Only the specific whiskey products evidencing sourcing and production requirements can display the prestigious Estate Whiskey Certified logo on their products. And this is now available to any member, and applications are being accepted to certify qualifying products.
So if you source whiskey and your contract distiller uses grains, can you use the estate certification?
As long as it's bottled there, apparently, too.
Got it. It's got to be bottled there.
It's got to be your bowl. It says, distillation, barrel, aging, and bottling all have to occur.
Got it.
Estate.
So it's kind of like the Kentucky Fresh vegetables. They put those stickers on, or Kentucky Proud. Kentucky Proud, yeah. Where it's grown here.
It is grown here, made here. There were some quotes in there. One was from Colby Frey Ranch. Obviously, they make a lot of their own stuff. And then the other one was a quote from Maker's Mark. And I was going, before I read the stipulation requirements, I go, there is no way Maker's Mark is getting all their grains on that damn farm. There's no way. And then it said, it only has to get 2/3 of their grains.
Well, they got a ton of farms around them.
And the farms, they don't have to be at the state. They just have to be controlled or owned by the company.
Got it.
So I guess if I've got corn in Kansas, and I own that land, I guess it works.
I mean, theoretically, the Cecil family owns like 300 acres of farmland in Nelson County that we lease out to the Petersons. Then they grow wheat, corn, and soy there. So
what are you trying to tell me?
We can make this happen.
Okay. All right.
I don't know necessarily. I don't control it. My father does, but the lease arrangements. But anyways,
I just don't see this I can
I don't think
understand
it's moving the needle.
I don't think it's going to move the needle. It's fun. It's different thing. It's unique. I'm sure this went into somebody's thesis that they were making for the university. I just don't think consumers are going to care that much. I remember
there'll be some that do.
Well, I remember when
it's like what some people shop at farmers markets versus chains and this and that.
Well, the Kentucky Proud thing, you can do that with bourbon today. Do you remember Bardstown was doing that very early on, and they had
Green
Kentucky
River.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was
but they
Green
had
River.
Kentucky Proud sticker stamps like on the barrels and stuff. But I don't think anybody has actually gone through the effort of like really advertising it or promoting it or whatever it is. So I guess TBD.
Yeah. Certain consumers will care, but most will not.
All right. Let's keep going here. By the way, congratulations on the certification. I know we're naysayers, but
well, Kenny's a naysayer. I'm not.
I am the king of no. I will take down everything. I will find and poke holes in everything you put in front of me. We could always point out the room for improvement. Is that the best way to say it?
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
There it is. All right, let's keep going here. So Larrikin Bourbon Company, they're announcing the appointment of Barbara McDonald as their new assistant distiller. McDonald brings an extensive experience in quality assurance and distilling to the Larrikin team with a track record of process optimization, sensory analysis in the beverage industry. She holds a bachelor's degree in chemical and biological engineering from the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, and has established herself... Hot. As a respected professional in the industry, and the announcement also coincides with International Women's Day.
Well, congratulations, Barbara.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Congratulations to the Larrikin team.
Yeah.
Growing and growing.
Like those people. They're good.
Bullet owner Diageo has temporarily paused production at its carbon-neutral distillery in Lebanon, Kentucky, to support the firm's productivity goals. The Lebanon distillery is a 72,000 square foot facility that uses 100% renewable electricity, and a Diageo spokesperson has confirmed the company has paused production and barrel filling at the site until the summer, since their production is ahead of schedule. I saw this went a few different ways. People were going like, oh no, like doomsday, and Chuck Cowdery was a little bit of the voice of reason. He goes, this is how every distillery's always done it forever, so you don't overproduce.
Right.
It's not, this isn't like crazy. We're just at the point now where they don't need to produce if they don't need to.
Right. Yeah. Everybody wants to
Everybody wants to point the negative, right?
Exactly. They want to be Kenny Coleman, poke the holes, and be like, I told you this bourbon boom's over. It's dying. They're not even making whiskey anymore.
Believe me, it's fine, everybody. This is just how companies operate. If you've got too much product, you're not going to go make more product.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. That's hours, that's raw materials, that's cost of goods. That's all that sort of stuff that adds up, that you do not need it unless you truly foresee it. Yes. Yeah. I totally forgot to add this as part of my notes, but I saw more stuff. Doomsday scrolling yesterday was that Green River has announced layoffs around 30% of its workforce, which is only about 27 individuals, which is unfortunate to be able to see, but those are the decisions that have to be made when contracts are tightening up or the market that we're in. It's just part of business.
Yeah, I've read that. You hate that because I love Owensboro. It's a great town, and you hate to hear 27 individuals affected, but I would speculate it has to do with the downturn in contract distillation, specifically in the investor barrel space. So a lot of people are...
Is this your educated guess, or is it
educated guess? Pure speculation, but I just assume that, as we've talked about on the show many of times, that there's the true glut or bubble is in the investor barrel market, and we're in the midst of that right now. And so people that got into it 4 or 5 years ago are not necessarily, they're like, I really probably shouldn't be in this space. I'm not going to keep going down this path. So I think you're just seeing a contraction from what was just a booming industry 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. And to be fair, Green River has 3 mash bills they produce, and it's really good. Don't get me wrong. But when the PDFs come out that says, hey, here's what's available, and it's the same thing from 12 different people, you go, oh, that's not exciting. I'll pass. And so nobody's buying. That's just the reality.
Yep. Or they're buying as needed, whereas it used to be in the market, you're like, oh, if some came over, like, I better get it because you never know if it's going to be available. Now you have a steady flow of available barrels that you used to not have that access to.
Yes. Yeah, very true. All right, our last one on the news story side isn't bourbon, but it's Ryan's other favorite. It's tequila.
Ugh.
But this is like huge for consumers, and just says a lot about maybe Mexico versus USA and how we treat the spirit, the topic, and everything like that. So the regulatory body for tequila has filed a lawsuit against the Additive Free Alliance for allegedly misleading consumers by running an unauthorized certification program. So the Consejo Regulador de Tequila, also known as the CRT, has filed a lawsuit against the Additive Free Alliance and something else called S2F. I forgot to put that in there. In the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Florida, Jacksonville's division. It's describing itself as the sole certifier of tequila and the agency responsible for approving the category's labels. The CRT claims that the AFA is representing itself as a certifier of tequila and misleading the public by confirming that the brands are additive free. The lawsuit has been filed to stop the AFA certifying brands as additive free and to prevent the organization from infringing on the CRT tequila trademark. The nonprofit organization of the AFA was founded by husband and wife Grover and Scarlett Sandgren, sorry if I mispronounced that, who created Tequila Matchmaker. The company certifies the brands as additive free for a fee following an independent verification of the spirit through laboratory and sensory evaluations.
Yeah, this is
huge news in the world of tequila that the federal government is going after an organization that is trying to that's like us saying,
trying to prove the authenticity of
yeah, like you're gonna give me like John Taffert's brown butter bourbon, and the overarching regulatory body of the government is gonna say no, that's bourbon, and as an individual we want to create something that says we don't really feel like it's bourbon, and so we want to create something else that's a new certification. And now let's say I'm sorry for John Taffert if you listen to this, you probably don't, but let's say John Taffert and his minions have billions of dollars and they're just funding that into the government and says, go shut these people down so we can be called bourbon. That's exactly what's happening right now.
Totally, because you look at a lot of the tequila brands that are getting hit hard over the past, tequila is growing, but it's mostly the additive free space, and a lot of the major brands, which I would assume probably have additives in them, are really have struggled over the last 18 months since this kind of additive free movement has been going on. And so I'm sure they're like, all right, government, you got to step in. This is like our main revenue drivers, and we got to nip this in the bud. So it's a weird, like uncomfortable kind of like thing happening.
The great thing is that they're being sued in the United States. So I would love to see this go to court, and hopefully the underdog can win this one. I'm assuming that Grover and Scarlett are going to need some sort of backing. I don't know if there's a GoFundMe or something, but this would be something that if you are a big tequila person and it means something to you, then it would be something that I think that'd be worthy of putting forth for legal purposes, because lawyers aren't cheap.
No, they are not.
Or if you're a lawyer that loves tequila and you want pro bono work, this is right up your alley.
It's very interesting. I feel like they need to make a documentary on this whole thing and come out with it. I think it'd be a fascinating, like seeing how, the federal government of Mexico's basically working with the big players in tequila to shut up these whistleblowers about additive. It's fascinating.
All right. So Netflix, if you're paying attention.
Yeah. I think it's been a good job for the Whiskey Land boys.
That's true.
They would do a good job.
Yeah. The Ballas Brothers.
Thank you.
Yeah. Once you get done with Whiskey Land, I'm sure you've done us and
Tequila Land.
The junkies already. I think you've run out of stories.
Actually, then the federal government would probably want to shut them down.
Yes.
Maybe you don't want to do it.
Don't do that, guys. Don't do that. All right. That's it for the news. Stick around. We got bourbon release news coming up. Hey everybody, welcome back. It is a bourbon release news time. We only got a few different things to talk about, but the first one, and because it's another day, it's another Ross and Squibb kind of moment. I don't think we've actually gone a week without having something for MGP, Ross and Squibb.
They keep us fresh.
They do. Shout out to the PR team over there. They do a fantastic job of making things stay relevant. So Remus Bourbon has announced the launch of its new Remus Bourbon Master Distiller Experimental Series. I remember reading about this one. Actually, oh, you're going to love this if you hadn't seen this yet. Okay, this new series was born from a happy accident when a barrel experiment from 2015 yielded some particularly interesting whiskey. Master Distiller Ian Sturzman decided to share his exceptional liquid with the world, pulling it from the vault to release as the Master Distiller Experimental Series #1. This new series will allow Sturzman to experiment with grains, recipes, and maturation techniques, creating high-quality bourbon with character and refined flavors. Each release, blah, 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 blah. This particular release, Master Distiller #1, has been aged for 9 years in a lightly charred, heavily toasted Seguin Moreau barrel with staves seasoned for 24 months. 107 proof, SRP of $80.
Dang. You know my infatuation with Seguin Moreau barrels, so if this is one I'm really excited about, actually. So, sign me up for this. Anything in a Seguin Moreau barrels, like just we got fortunate that we had an happy accident. We didn't know we had Seguin Moreau just because of the barrel shortage, and we had some of our Tennessee bourbon aged in it, and it was some of the best whiskey I've had.
Yeah, we had to backtrack to go and find that. We had to go through layers of documents and emails and people, and finally sending a picture to Seguin Moreau and be like, "Are these yours?" They go, "Yep, that's ours."
Yeah, 'cause they didn't have any markings on them. The barrels look weird. I mean, because they have a much larger belly. The heads are set in about 2.5, 3 inches. The heads are inset off the edges, and so they're kind of a funny looking barrel, but they had no description, nothing on there, so we had to it took a while to figure it out, thanks to you.
Hey,
going down the rabbit hole.
You know me, when I find something and I want to sleuth it out, I'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, I'd be all for this.
Yeah. Now that we've been diving into the Melwood stuff, I've got something else that I've got cooking up and some really cool history. But I am now on a mission to find absolutely everything that I can and document it, because I've been building out a Notebook LM so I can easily reference everything. So I've got on my list, I need to go to the Louisville Public Library and check out both of Chet Zoller's books, because he mentioned Melwood in both of them. And so I've got to go and do that just to be able to get that information and bring it in. And then back into Oxmoor Farm.
You're going to read?
Only when it's important, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Audible didn't put this on their streaming services yet. Knowing that Oxmoor Farm has all the Bullitt family papers, they're available at the Filson Historical. So I need to find a time to spend a day at Filson to actually go through and look through the...
That's where Beach is, right?
Well, that he used to be the historian for there. He's not involved with that anymore. But,
I was with him last night. I should have brought it up.
Yes, but that is something that I'm looking forward to getting into. And I think most of that will probably just be like receipts and stuff. I don't even know if we'll ever find the original mash bill or whatever. But now that we've been talking about it, I hope more things come out of it. Yeah, and surface. And, I'm now looking for old bottles and different things to kind of put on display and whatnot. So if you're sitting on something and want to get rid of it, I don't know, hit me up. See what we got. All right, let's keep going here. 15 Stars is also announcing the release of 15 Stars Three Ports Fine-Aged Bourbon. Ryan, what did we learn from our last 15 Stars release?
That Kentucky is the 15th state.
Sorry.
We're proud Kentuckians. Really know our history.
We failed 4th grade together.
Yep.
So this limited innovative blend has never been previously made, and this expression combines 9 and 15-year-old Kentucky bourbons finished in tawny, white, and ruby port barrels, bottled at 103 proof, and will have an SRP of $180.
Sure, it's good. They haven't let me down yet.
They have not had a single dud yet. So Rick and Ricky, awesome job, guys. And thank you, everybody that made me and Ryan feel dumb after that review.
Yep.
Before we even posted it, my wife sent me an email or sent me a text message, and she was like, "Are you sure you want me to post this?"
Yeah, I got several emails and Facebook messages. I'm like, I got it.
Yep.
After the first one, I know now.
So if we ever slip up and say something dumb, and you feel the inclination to send us a message, just know 40 other people have done it already.
But you can be the first one. So,
You can be
so don't let it deter you.
Just nail it home, just make us feel dumber than we already are. All right, and our last news story here, the one that I found truly interesting is that Chattanooga Whiskey has announced the newest release in their award-winning experimental single batch series. This is batch number 43, if you're keeping count, and this is the pre-Prohibition style. By the way, take a breather. I've got a paragraph to read through here. This commemorative offering celebrates a decade of experimentation at the distillery, which in 2015 became Chattanooga's first legal production distillery since Prohibition. To honor this milestone, the team crafted an ode to pre-Prohibition whiskey designed to simulate the flavors of early 20th century whiskey. Made from a high malt bourbon mash, this commemorative recipe starts with a unique, harder variety of yellow corn, similar to those grown in the time period. Additionally, a blend of multiple slow-toasted barleys, spelt, and rye malts were selected to showcase a wider gradient of flavors inherent to the heritage malting techniques, including a heritage-style toasted barley malt and a unique acidulated rye malt. I hope I said that right. After its initial cooking, a portion of the recipe was fermented via a two-part process designed to express a pronounced fruitiness common to whiskeys made during that time. To accomplish this, the team employed a unique overnight sour mash coupled with a multi-strain fermentation of bourbon and malt whiskey yeast, which together replicate the less controlled multi-strain yeast cultures with distilleries of that era. After a traditional double pot distillation, the whiskey entered the barrels at an average of 111 proof, which was aged for more than 4 years in a range of custom toasted and charred oak barrels. The wide selection of cooperages was collectively meant to mimic the fire-driven stave bending process, as well as the variability and charring during the 19th and early 20th century. Finally, the whiskey was bottled unfiltered at an assertive 110 proof, perhaps one of the highest proofs of available whiskey prior to that of the Alcohol Administration Act of 1935. This will be priced at $70.
I just can't imagine being at an in-store tasting and being like, let me tell you about this. And they're like,
have a seat.
Yeah, no, I love the detail and the back history and the different processes. You said spelt, didn't you?
I did say spelt.
Yeah. So didn't we do a spelt? We had a spelt.
It was from Finger Lakes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. That's interesting. So Chattanooga makes great stuff, so I'm sure this one.
It'll fall right along
Won't let us down.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just loved it because at this point I'm kind of being a sucker for history and nerding out on it. And they went to some great lengths to find some very interesting things. And 4 years later, now we can finally taste it and see what it's like. So maybe we'll get a sample. Love to be able to try it.
I can't wait.
All right. That is it. That's
it.
All for the bourbon release news. That is it for This Week in Bourbon. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. If you do like the show and you want to help support it, go find us on Patreon, as little as $5 per month. You can also leave us a review on any of those channels, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I don't know, you can't really leave reviews on YouTube, but you can give us a like, subscribe, follow,
comment.
Yeah,
pithy comment.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us again how we don't know that Kentucky was the 15th state.
That's right. No doubt.
But with that, cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Toodles.